Potawatomi Casino in Milwaukee, not far from the campus of Marquette University. Gonna go check this out. Looks like there's a couple of 2-5 games going on, and we're gonna jump in one of them. A couple of hours in here at Potawatomi, playing some 2-5 no limit. And I'm actually heading down in here into the event center. Looks interesting. I run down first couple of hands. The first hand involves the fact that we had a $10 straddle on through a lot of the first part of this game. And that was on in this hand. We have one player calling that straddle, and I'm in the hijack with queens. I go ahead and make it 40, and I end up getting 3 calls. The guy who was in the cutoff was pretty much the spot in the game at that point. He makes the call. So we got 160 in the pot, and the flop comes Jack 6 deuce with 2 spades. Pretty good flop for me. It does.
You work here?
No.
Oh.
I do not work here. That guy was asking. I do have the Peppermill patch on my shirt, and if those of you are wondering why I would do that, first of all, I think it's kind of cool to represent the Peppermill out of town, just, you know, in case anyone's been there or whatever, it's funny. Second of all, this used to be my ESPN Radio 94.5 FM shirt back when I worked in radio, which ended in 2014. I liked the shirt, so I covered it up with these free patches they give out at the Peppermill. Anyway, back to this hand. We get a Jack 6 deuce flop, and it's checked to me. There's 160 in the pot, and I bet 115. The cutoff, who only has about that much left in his stack, puts it in. Board runs out. No spade comes out, and he ends up showing me ace 3 of spades. So he missed everything, and my queens hold. And after only buying in for 500, I'm up several hundred early in this game. I was down and lost a few pots before that, so I have now about 800 in front of me as we go in to this next hand. One that is pretty memorable. So anyway, $10 straddles on again, and I make it 35 with pocket aces. It folds back around to the straddle, and he makes it 100. So I'm loving this. I re-raise it to 260. And he doesn't think about it for too long, as I didn't expect him to, and he makes the call. So we have gotten over 500 in this pot pre-flop, but I'm sitting here with pocket aces. The flop comes 10, 10, 3. So this is going to be extremely hard now, I figure, for me to get a lot of action out of this hand. There's no way that he has kings or queens here, I don't think. I think he's the type of player that would have put in another race before the flop. He's been playing a lot of hands. He's got a lot of chips in front of him. Though at this point I didn't know much about him. So I decide to try to get a little tricky here, and I make a bet of $100. So only about a 5th size pot. And I can see this kind of perplexes him because he did not expect that. And by the way, I love this play because I feel that it puts your opponents in a situation where every decision is wrong. They think, well, I can't call because I don't have anything. I can't raise because he's got a big hand. And I can't fold because I'm getting too good of a price. So I think that's what he's thinking here. And I can tell he's thinking that. Finally, he puts in his $100. So, you know, I still know that I have the guy crushed, I presume. Turn comes a queen. Not sure how many hands he could have with a queen in it, but I still expect to have the best hand unless he was somehow Hollywooding with a 10 here. But unfortunately for me at this point, I'm pretty short stacked now. I have a little under 300 left, and I put it all in.
All in.
He doesn't think too long and makes the call. The river comes another queen. I show the aces, and he doesn't immediately show. And I'm not 100% sure why. I'm like, well, cool. I got him beaten. I'm going to take down this pot. He waits a minute and finally says, oh, sorry, man. In fact, don't take it from me. Take a listen for yourself.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. Feel bad for you.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous play. I'd agree. What exactly were you thinking I had?
Not bad.
I think the guy was legitimately, I think he legitimately felt bad that he managed to put this bad beat on me in this spot. I'm just a little bit amazed though, because as you saw last night, I took a bad beat at a hand in which I was a 95% favorite going to the river. And in this hand, wouldn't you know, I'm also a 95.5% favorite going to the river. So what are the odds in back-to-back days and back-to-back cities in the same trip, taking two bad beats at 95.5%? I have pulled that off, ladies and gentlemen. I have done it. So I've noticed a common thread, by the way, and this doesn't apply to 99% of you that watch this vlog, but there are a few people that stand out in the comments. It just so happens there's this amazing coincidence of the times where I lose big pots like the one I'm talking about right now, where people always tell me how bad I played it. I absolutely loved the way I played this hand. I think if I hadn't made that $100 bet on the turn, or on the flop rather, then I wouldn't have had a chance to get all this money in as such a massive favorite, which is how you make your money in poker. But got absolutely hosed by the deck in that spot. Can't say I've seen one of those in a poker room before. About 11 o'clock at night, after that disaster of a hand with the aces, the game ended up actually switching over to a 5-10, and I'm told that it hasn't happened in a long time there. So I happened to pick the one night in ages that a game becomes 5-10 here at Potawatomi, which is somewhat interesting because we had one really interesting hand where I am under the gun, and I opened to 35 with pocket jacks. I stopped capturing any hands after the aces hand due to being on full tilt and not wanting to worry about that anymore. But and I apologize for that, by the way, because I think one of the things that makes this vlog good is the video of the hands. But I opened to 35 with pocket jacks under the gun. I immediately get raised to 85. And that was pretty peculiar because the guy who had done that had already won pretty much every pot that he played, and he'd been playing pretty much only premium hands. So I figured he probably has a pretty good hand here. We get one other guy that ends up going all in for his last 125. So so I open 35, under the gun +1 makes 85, and then MP2 ships for 125. I make the call, and under the gun 1 makes the call. So yeah, $380 in the pot roughly, and we go to a flop of 9-10 king, which I'm certainly not liking at all. I check, and under the gun +1 checks it back, somewhat to my astonishment. He could be slow playing here, I'm not sure, but the turn comes a queen, giving me a straight. I'm obviously loving that. Now I am hoping he was slow playing something. I bet out 150. I become astonished once again when he now raises me to 350. I still think that he could be slow playing a set here, taking this line with it. I mean, could he have ace-jack here? I guess. I never thought in a million years that he would immediately free-bet ace-jack pre-flop. So I kind of ruled ace-jack out. I decided just to call and hope that the river did not pair the board. And then I was planning on bombing the river against this guy, thinking he had a set. Well, the river does pair the board after I make the call. Comes another queen. So now I'm just pretty much disgusted. I check, expecting to now have to check fold. He checks it back, which I'm amazed by, and now I'm expecting to win the pot, and he turns over ace-jack. So I was pretty surprised to lose that one, but I did. That brings us to our final hand that we will mention here, and I was under the gun +1 with ace-king offsuit. I make it 35. Player 2 to my left calls in MP2, and back around to the big blind, who makes it 125. I wasn't all that impressed with the play of the big blind that I've seen so far. Thought I could outplay this guy if I hit an ace or a king. Thought I could win a pretty decent sized pot here, so I like to make the call. And MP2 makes the call as well. So we have 375 in the pot, and the flop comes ace-9-4 with 2 clubs. And the big blind immediately says, I'm all in. It's an overbet. It's a $650 bet. Mind you, again, we're now playing 5-10, and I have about 1,000 effective in this hand. I basically snap called that $625. He might have the same hand, but there's no way that he has me beat. If he has to set there, he's never going to play it like this, so I'm feeling great about myself, my spot here. So I snap call the 625. The problem is the freaking guy MP2 is not folding. He's sitting there thinking about this, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Do not tell me that this guy flopped a set here. Just don't even say it. This guy has been bluffing all night. I give him credit for image development. I never seen a guy bluff so many times. This guy in MP2 that I'm talking about here, he is bluffing and bluffing and bluffing, and while I never thought this was a bluff, I had to factor that in. So sure enough, yes, as I basically just said, he goes all in. And that's now a $400 raise. I'm already committed. I'm already in this pot for about $700. And now it's gonna cost me my last $400 to call. I kid you not. I thought about folding here. I did. I thought about folding, even though it's ridiculous to commit what, 2/3 of your stack to a pot in a spot where you know you have one guy beat or you're chopping with him, and the other guy is kind of a maniac. It's a ridiculous spot to lay down a hand. Ridiculous. But I thought about doing it. Unfortunately, I was not good enough to do it. I made the call, and he had pocket 4s. So basically, I get felted when the game is 2-5. I rebuy. I get all the money back, and then I lose it all. $1,000 loss booked here in Milwaukee. And I gotta say, the games here, pretty damn good. But to make an understatement, I ran pretty damn bad. Staying at a hotel in Milwaukee with still these things, actual keys. I'm not sure when the last time I would have stayed at a hotel with that would be. All right, heading over to Miller Park to wrap up this ballpark tour. Ran really bad. We just want to check this place out. Instead, it's Robin Yount Jersey giveaway day, so it's going to be a sellout, which sucks. Tickets going to be more expensive, which sucks. And this following the run bad of last night.